So what cars have you noticed right now that are the most in demand?
That's an interesting question. In terms of used cars, enthusiast cars, Lamborghinis are absolutely having a moment. The Countach, the Diablo, the Murcielago, all those cars are. When I was a kid, a Lamborghini was like a drug dealer car, and like you didn't.
Rapper car.
Yeah, rappers, like
MTV
that type,
Cribs.
right?
Sort of
And like the connoisseurs had Ferraris.
Yeah.
And that's changed. These older Lambos are finding a new audience with real car enthusiasts who are really starting to like get into them and appreciate it and take them back to stock, take the wrapper wheels off them, take the tinted taillights off, all the stupid crap that people did in 2003 or MTV Crib.
Yeah.
And those cars are shooting up. I'm stunned to see Lamborghini market every single day. It's crazy. Obviously, Porsches are incredibly hot right now. That's every car enthusiast or wannabe car enthusiast is trying to get into the Porsche world. Getting allocations for special new Porsches is impossible. It's almost a game in itself. Surprisingly, it seems like Ferrari has actually dropped off a little bit. They're kind of overproducing, it seems like, and especially except for the very specialist cars, it seems like Ferrari doesn't quite have the gravitas over those other brands that it once did. SUVs, old SUVs are really hot still. Old Scouts, Broncos, Land Cruisers, things like that. People are really into them. But I would say generally the market is cooling, like we were talking about. Like I don't see a lot of cars right now that are shooting up or poised to shoot up. I would say just about everything is cooling off.
Do you think that's because the market might be topping out a bit and people are more cautious, or that everyone who wanted a car has bought a car?
That certainly happened. I think a lot of the people, there was a whole lot of horse trading that went on in 2021 and 22. A lot of people who held on to cars for years suddenly saw their value double and they got out, and new people who wanted the car for their whole life got in, and they don't want to sell, especially because they're not going to make money right now. They think if they hold for longer, they might, and they don't need the money in a lot of cases. People who bought F40s or whatever. So I think there's definitely some of that. And also just, the market is just a little bit slower. And so, things just aren't shooting up like they were. I think a lot of cars had a quick rise, and now there's just nowhere for them to continue to rise. After 3 years of, in some cases, cars went up 50-60%. It's not going to sustain. So it'll continue. So these cars will continue to get more valuable, but just not at that rate.
Yeah. What gives a car an it factor?
That's interesting. I mean, I think these days the analog stuff is really hot. Everybody wants the old manual transmission stuff, cars with fewer driver aids, cars with fewer screens, fewer computers. That's like the hottest thing, which is by and large sort of the late 70s to the 2007, 2009. Those cars are really hot, which coincides with people who are our age getting into money and okay, maybe I might want to consider buying a car like that. But I think that, low production value is a big one. Movie, if a car was in a movie, it's special. That, I mean, people come up to me all the time, my Ford GT, I remember I saw Ford versus Ferrari, and even though it's the new Ford GT and not the old GT40, there was a huge lift, at least in awareness. Wolf of Wall Street and the Countach is obviously a big one. And just a good backstory helps too. This was the first the Countach was the first wedge car, and the first car with scissor doors, et cetera, designed by this Italian master when he was young. And I think cars that have sort of some of that cool history, the F40 is Enzo's last car, that helps. Things like that help. Cars that are made just for rich guys to seem cool, they don't have as much specialness to them.
What cars have you noticed that have lost some of the it factor lately?
It's interesting. Ferrari for so many years had like the market cornered on the it factor. And you bought a Ferrari and you had to sell it back to the dealer because they were worth more, and then you split the profits with the dealer. It was a great situation. And they're a public company now, in order to really squeeze all the juice out of every buyer, they've really come out with some cars that are probably too expensive, probably too overproduced, and they are dropping in value like crazy. And the first time in my life, I could walk into a Ferrari dealer and buy a couple of new Ferraris today without a waiting list. And that's interesting. And you have to wonder whether that continues. Does Porsche kind of come up and start taking the mantle that Ferrari once had? It's interesting to see that. Meanwhile, older Ferraris are starting to get more desirable because I think a lot of people are looking at the past and saying, this isn't coming back.
It's interesting you mentioned the Ferrari, being able to walk in and get a car. I saw that the SUV is now beginning to sell under sticker.
Yeah.
But the dealers say that there's a 2-year list
Yeah,
to get a.
it depends on the situation. The SUV is still hot. SUV just came out.
Yes.
6 months ago. And so I find that I've found that it is still hot. They still seem to be selling for decent money. The one that they're really getting killed on is the SF90, which is like a $600,000 to $700,000 kind of super sports hypercar, supercar, and that's just a tough price point right now. When capital is more expensive, interest rates are higher, and $700,000 is a lot of money, especially on a car that isn't limited production.
So is it still possible to buy a Ferrari and then sell it back to the dealer? Because this is something I learned about for the first time like a year ago. I didn't know that there were so many like handshake agreements, like, hey, we'll sell you this car, but just sell it back to us so we could then resell it for even higher. I had no idea this was a thing.
And I think what ends up happening in a lot of cases is if you play that game and you play it to its conclusion, then you will get selected to buy the really high-end stuff, which really do gain value. So if you're willing to buy a Roma Coupe, all the other GTC4 Lusso and SF90, etc., lose money on all of them, they will start submitting you for cars like the SP3, which just came out, which cost $2.5 million. But in the secondary market, those cars are already selling for double. And so if you're willing to roll the dice and lose a lot of money up front, Ferrari will kind of start slipping you some of those really, really super high-end cars. And that is absolutely still
But are they giving those to average buyers who are just, working their way up? Because I've heard that they need, like, you have to have a collection of these other cars to be selected, show up to Ferrari events.
Yeah. No,
like
in order to get cars like the SP3, it's not just buy a GTC4 Lusso. There's more to it.
Yeah.
But those are the basics still. And I got buddies who get all those cars and have multi-million dollar car collections with everything you could possibly want, and even they are still required to buy the Romas and the other, and they basically what they do is they buy it at the dealer, they drive it home or to their collection, they never touch it because they don't care about those cars, and then after the 6-month lockup is over, they take it right back to the dealer and they say, sell it for me, and sometimes they lose money on those cars, but it's worth it to them to still be selected for the super high end stuff.
It's interesting. A buddy just bought the Roma, and he said it was basically a brand new car that the guy bought just to sell it back, like as soon as the lockup was up. But it was like a brand new car, almost no miles on it. The guy just didn't drive it, but
That's
just
a lot of Romas.
had to buy the car.
Yeah. And so then you got to wonder, well, how many of these cars is there even demand for? Like real demand, right? Because a lot of the people who are buying them are just fake people who just want to get the high-end stuff, but not most of them. Like most Romas are being sold to end users, but certainly some of them are being sold to guys who are playing the game. And those guys make money playing the game. But it takes a while.
Yeah. Why doesn't Ferrari just increase the price of the super nice to be able to like find some sort of market equilibrium?
I've made this point for years and I totally agree, but I think the answer is they already make great money on those super crazy cars and they want that carrot for the people to buy the other stuff because
it boosts the sales of the lower.
So they can sell the Romas and they can sell the lesser stuff, more of them, if they know that those guys know that they're going to make $1 million on the supercar every 10 years or something. And so like, if Ferrari tried to start making the money on those cars themselves, the people would be like, screw you. I'm losing money on Romas and I'm losing money on the supercar. I don't want to play the game anymore. And they can't do that.